השלישי, אדם גדול, עקשן כילד, איש פשוט ואוהב, תמים, ותמימותו היא מקור כוחו. אלה הם כמה מן ההגדרות שהוצמדו בידי אנשים שונים לאנדרי סחרוב, ממפתחי הנשק הגרעיני בברית המועצות, שלחם, זה הפרדוקס של אישיותו, לפירוקו. סחרוב מת. תמונותיו האחרונות שהוצגו בטלוויזיה בעולם כולו הראו אותו בוויכוח כביכול נוהלי עם גורבצ'וב עצמו, שקטע אותו בפומבי באמצע דבריו בחוסר סבלנות, ולא בפעם הראשונה. זה היה לפני לילות מעטים, וכולנו ראינו את הקטע הזה. האורחת האחרונה שלנו הערב הייתה ידידה קרובה, גם במוסקבה וגם בגלות, עידה נודל. בשנותיה האחרונות בברית המועצות הייתה היא בגלות בסיביר, והוא בגלות בעיירה גורקי. ובכל זאת הקשר נשמר באורח כמעט יומיומי. ערב טוב, עידה נודל.
ערב טוב.
את ביקשת לא לעשות את הרעיון הזה בעברית.
כן.
אז לפני שנעבור לאנגלית, מדוע?
אני חושבת שזה נורמלי לאישה בגיל שלי, אחרי שנתיים בארץ, לדבר בעברית מטלוויזיה. זה לא אפשר.
עד עכשיו זה היה טוב מאוד מבחינת העברית, אבל אנחנו נמלא את בקשתך ונעבור לאנגלית. I would like you, first of all, if you could outline Sakharov for us. What a profile of a man could you draw?
I think that I would not be, nobody will tell that I am very subjective, telling you that he was really a great man, a great human being. I met him when he was in his 50s. In the beginning of 70s, when I became to be active for behalf of my people, Jewish people. And because of my special interest of prisoners and human rights, we were a lot of times in contact, dealing over some cases. I gave him information and we discussed, and he, by his authorities, supported me when I applied to Soviet government, and I needed to send information abroad or publish in a Chronic underground magazine. So it happened quite a lot of time when we were together.
Now, coming back to his personality, would you describe him as what? As a leader, as a guru, as a sort of a spiritual father?
It is difficult to tell. He was a highly respected person, highly respected, because he was sincere. He was very wise, very clever, very honest, and despite all his being academician and being a leading figure, no arrogance. When he spoke with you, you are a simple person, a worker or just human being, and you apply to him. It doesn't matter if your Russian is not literacy, if you speak a simple language, he respects you. You feel from how he put questions, how he listened to you. He was really a great person.
He was described as a very simple person and very loving. So that is, he loved people.
Yes, he loved people, but I could not say that he was a simple person. No, of course not. If
well, naive was one of the epithets.
Naive, no, he wasn't naive. He was idealist. He was a dreamer. But a dreamer and naivety not all the time, it is not the same quality. He was dreamer, he wanted to be his people, Russian people. He was best son of Russian people. He wanted his people to be civilized, to behave as all civilized world, and he put at stake his life, his freedom, even his life, to do what he can to help his people to look civilized.
One of the most exciting things for an observer from outside during his later years, last 20 or so years, was how they couldn't, as it were, shut his mouth. Although apparently they did almost anything in the book or outside the book of the KGB and others. How do you explain this? It's very rare.
Yes, it's really very rare. How they tortured him, how they ostracized him, how they organized all over the country a campaign against him and published dirty words and dirty slander against him. He is this kind of person who is not giving up. He was sincere. He believed that he is right, and he is a very unusual personality.
Would you say that what actually happened with the leaders of the Soviet Russia going down to the KGB and other people, that they became hateful towards him? I mean, personally, hating his existence, as it were.
I don't know how it's leader, but KGB definitely. KGB hated him personally. Because once he was among, not KGB, but he was among elite. He belonged to this exclusive group of people who was elite. And suddenly he changed his mind. They became to be defender of human rights and spoke against them. And I remember one story when it was a hunger strike by Eduard Kuznetsov. And when I almost don't know what to do, how to send information, and how to make Andrei Dmitrievich and Elena Bonner, they applied to KGB to have a meeting with Eduard Kuznetsov. And they were refused. And so I was between them, between one of the chiefs of the Communist Party who was dealing with the Ministry of Interior Affairs, and they were in Mordovia, Sakharov, they were in Mordovia, trying to have a meeting. And I was in Moscow, calling all the time to one of the chiefs of the Communist Party who worked with Ministry of Interior Affairs. And nothing happened. Sakharov came back, and I told Andrei Dmitrievich, it is your turn to speak with him, to speak with Albert Ivanov. And he called to him, and Albert Ivanov told him, I don't want to speak with renegades. It is very hard for a person with such a status, but
You mentioned a minute ago his wife. And I would like to ask you, they, as a couple, struck a very dramatic picture in the West as well when she was very sick and she was allowed after his hunger strike to go to the West and come back and so on. What kind of a couple were they? Because you met them as a couple many times and you were at their house and so on.
They were really very lovely couple. With his very mild character and with his great love to her. And she is very strong and very, very reserved and sometimes even cruel person in her words. Such a combination really working very good. And sitting with them many times in their kitchen, once I noted a depth of his love to her. She was washing dishes, and suddenly she made some not very stable move, and it looks like she is going to hit her head about corner. And he, like lion, jumped and put his hand between wall and between her head. It shows how deeply he was caring about her, how he loved her.